Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Monday morning trading session. I hope everyone had a nice, relaxing weekend. Mine was very nice, a little busier than I usually like, but oh well, what are you going to do? Okay, let's see what's going on here this morning. The market just opened up. The opening bell, we saw a little bit of a drift lower, just a refresher here, Friday session. Pretty steady rally overall. A little bit of sideways chop. Then the market started to rally, flattened out through the pre-market this morning. And we find ourselves pretty much exactly where we left off. So overall, the market looking like it remains in a bullish trend. We might have to give them a minute or two here to sort themselves out. Getting some conflicting signals pre-market. We've got a sell signal here on the Hawk, as well as a sell signal here on the Falcon. The Eagle into the hard edge, where we normally anticipate a reaction, and the Raptor also into the hard edge. We'll see whether or not we get a bounce from here. Yes, no. Well, it's still, like I say, very early. We're only a couple, 3 minutes into the session. You should give them at least 5 or 10 minutes to get their bearings. And it's a little bit quiet for a Monday start. Okay, we're into some yellow bars now here on the Hawk and the Raptor, producing a red bar buy on the Eagle. This would be our first in sync Eagle signal. you can see here on the Eagle, we are against the ATR. So you may choose to enter. We have here a second push opportunity as well. So you could enter above the current highs. Let's see, can I cover below there? Ooh, I can too. What time is it? Oh, just 5-6 minutes into the day. All right, folks, this is a little bit risky here, kind of testing the waters, if you will. All right, here we go. I'm going to give it a push to the upside. We did produce a Falcon signal here as well, a trend change signal on the Falcon. No signal on the Raptor just yet, but I would anticipate a hard edge bounce signal when the Raptor is ready. Well, they're struggling, that's for sure. Just making a few notes here in my trading journal. Okay, I think I'm going to bring my stops in a lot tighter here. hold them here at 58.40. Retesting the lows of the morning. We got ourselves a bit of a sideways mess going on. Peter asks, Eric, when the trade forecaster is pointing to trend mode, does this also mean that the market can be flat? So Peter pointing out here that trade forecaster saying we're in trend mode for about an hour. Can the market go sideways? Well, yes, it can. Now, normally, when the trade forecaster says we are in trend mode, we will experience a trend. Sometimes it takes a little while to get kick-started. It doesn't say whether it will be a big trend or a little trend, but one thing that is common when it is in trend mode is that the pullbacks are less frequent and they tend to be a little bit smaller. So when the market is in trend mode, very often you can get by with a tighter stop. Very often you can get by with a larger profit objective. When the market is in scalp mode, it's the exact opposite. When the market is in scalp mode, the pullbacks, well, this isn't quite scalp mode, but we'll take it anyways. The pullbacks are going to be more frequent and they're going to be a little bit more extreme. The market may not have as much follow through in one particular direction. So if the market happens to be in scalp mode, we should probably run a wider stop loss, give ourselves a little bit more elbow room, and we should probably take profit on target. Swing mode would be somewhere in between. Swing mode was probably starting to print right here on this pullback, because this pullback came a little bit on the heels of this last one. It's a little bit deeper than this one. See, this was a minor pullback. This was probably trend mode through here. And then perhaps at this point, it was already in scalp mode because the pullbacks are deeper, the follow through not quite as pronounced. But yes, as far as directionality goes, it does not necessarily mean that the market will have a clear direction to it. Although very often when it is in trend mode, even though it may be slow getting there, like you look at here on Friday, this was from 8 o'clock until a little after 11, so this took about 3 hours to develop. But if I remember right, we were in trend mode that day. Okay, well, we're getting a little bit of a push. And I think I'm going to force the trade to break even now. Just as we get closer to the highs. Come on. Let's get over that high. Trend mode should also mean that I can get away with a more aggressive stop. But you see, even if I stayed with the parabolics are still back here. Of course, if I were smart, I'd just take the 50 bucks. Come on. Come on. Just that little bit extra. If we hit the break even, I'm pretty confident that I will find the profit objective on this trade. The break even, of course, right near the highs of the morning, or the overnight, pardon me. See that? So if they test the break even, there'll probably be at least enough follow through on that to get me to the 58.60 area. Come on. All right. In order to avoid doing something stupid, I'm going to go grab myself a cup of coffee. I will be right back. I'm back, and it looks like I got tagged at break even, and I did too. That may prove to be unfortunate. We'll see. When the market is lacking direction, as it seems to be this morning, in spite of trade forecasters saying we are in trend mode or should be in trend mode. Remember, trade forecaster is a predictive tool, very much like the weatherman. He's not always right. Okay, so it looks like those highs may hold, and we may in fact see a trend to the downside instead. For those of you who were following the Raptor, I would have considered this to be a hard edge bounce. Even though it didn't print as a number 3 signal, I would have considered that a number 3 signal. We're getting a cloud crossover opportunity now on the Raptor. Pretty much need to cover this trade below the low of the morning. That's really the place that you can say, yeah, I'm wrong about this trade. Time to go. So kind of taking this trade from more or less the same area where we did before. Let me see here, Floyd. Floyd's asking, can you look at the RTY? They just added it to my feed. Let me see if I have it in my data. No, it looks like continuum a little bit behind the ball here. Where are you, Russell? Here we go. All right, let's see what happens. I don't know if you guys heard all those gunshots going off, but that was Ninja's way of saying, no, sorry, Eric, you don't have that data yet. I'll have to find out what's going on with continuum data, why they don't have that on there yet. All right, so here we go. We're making a push. I'm going to bring my break even just to the high of this bar right here. It's going to be close enough to the primary resistance zone that if we tag that, that's probably going to be a good enough reason for me to take the trade to break even. Wow, really? They couldn't close out that bar? Come on. Oh, they're trying. Fairly confident I should hit the profit objective on this one. If I had more guts, I'd try to run it out a little bit further. But I think I will take my profit on target, like I always say I should and never seem to do. Oh, come on. You're so close. He will just give you a little bit of a push. Just get you over the hump. There we go. There we go. All right. Whew. That was hard work. And there we go. We're getting a little bit extra follow through now. Hooray for us. And I suppose that's to be anticipated as the market kind of bounces through the overnight high. Probably took out a few stop orders along the way. And unfortunately, I got the break-even tap here on the Eagle. It too would have found its profit objective right now. You'll notice when the number one signal in the Raptor printed, we also had a late filter entry signal here on the Falcon. That's one of our high probability signals for the Falcon. The Hawk, a little bit faster, giving us a macro pullback / 4 arrow consolidation. A few ticks earlier. Okay, I think we're going to be waiting for a few minutes again. It is like trading in slow motion. The market just plodding along. We may see a retest of the high here and a possible soft edge sell. That would be the number 2 signal. Well, let's see if we see even a little bit of a retest of the high and a possible failure. That might be worth a sell attempt. I don't want to get too crazy on the short side because the trend is up, or at least at the moment the trend is up. Not much to look at right now, really. Possible macro pullback here in the hawk. That may drift into a yellow bar, though, if it gets much lower. Okay, so the yellow bar here now spoiling the macro pullback and suggesting that maybe the market would try to head back a little bit deeper. Well, there's nothing really to talk about or point out, just waiting for the market to settle on which way it wants to drift next, and I think drift being the operative word here. So a possible red bar buy. Hmm. Hmm. So here comes the red bar buy signal. It's probably not a half bad signal to take, and I'll show you why, because we need a test of the extreme, right? Before the market can uh, fully reverse on itself, we need to see something resembling another push higher. Oh, actually, the warning dot has since disappeared, so the market parameters have changed, and we've lost that red bar buy opportunity. So I guess we'll just put that back on the shelf for now, but I would anticipate a little bit of a move higher here. On the Raptor, we're probably going to see a hard edge bounce signal develop, maybe. I guess we're just in hold mode for now. Not much we can do with it. You can see here on the Hawk introducing more yellow bars here on the Raptor as well. Lots of yellow bars coming in. So we're just kind of stuck for the moment. So there's that number 3 signal that I was talking about, the hard edge bounce. I did get slipped a tick on the entry, and I do intend to be a little bit more aggressive with my um, stops on this trade. But hopefully we will see at least a little bit of follow through here. There we go. Come on now. And I rolled my break even in tight because of the possible test of the extreme here. And hopefully, oh, get away from there. Darn it. Take me at break even again. We'll see here in a second whether that was a good call or not. So my concern was the way the market was floundering. This may well turn out to be the test of the extreme in this case being the high. If the market turns over at this point and starts to head the opposite direction, we should print a counter trend signal. That will be the number 2 signal. And we can try that to the short side. All right. Oh, there it is. I was going to say it didn't print the number 2. Doggone it. Printed the number 2 late. That was exactly the signal that I was looking for. And a quick little move to the downside. And we have hit our target, which is the hard edge, and now we're seeing yet another reaction. So it is a crazy kind of market today. Very sideways, not really trending as much as I might have hoped. So we're just watching and waiting. Let's see if that had actually hit my profit objective without running away on me. Yeah, doggone it. Hit the profit target. And here we are watching and waiting again. We do do have a first micro macro cross here in the hawk, and of course the hawk scalper is going to be one of our earlier tools. It's going to give us signals earlier than some of the other birds. However, given the sideways nature of the market and the fact that we are against the hard edge, I think caution is in order here. You could certainly look at a second push entry opportunity, maybe entering below the low, covering the trade. You pretty much have to cover it above the high. And that could be a little bit dicey, because that's a big trade. The first micro macro cross, though, does have a high probability of success. Even though that's not the nicest looking setup I've seen for one. All right, so here come the sellers. They're going to give it a go. I may try to extend the profit objective down a couple of ticks. See if we can't get 20 ticks out of it. And 5850 has been a very popular number this morning. Something that we'll need to keep in mind. As the week progresses. Well, we would have hit our profit objective, and they're just kind of hovering above the extended profit objective. If I had taken it on the hash mark, I would be at our high probability target already. For a swing trade, let's see if they give me that little bit extra. Come on, get down there. All right. Well, that was a little bit of work involved there as well, but hooray for us. We did hit the profit objective. I'll put that back on the shelf. Okay, John's asking here on the Raptor, would your two signals, bearish, include a cloud diversion and the signal which is also a cloud cross? Okay, well, I'm not entirely sure what you're asking, but let me review the signals anyways. So we've got all three signals here. We've got the cloud crossover signal, which came out of this mess here. So once the clouds start to intertwine, and they're all jumbled up, when they come out of that mess and they're back in sync, if there's a pullback and a resumption of the trend or the new direction that the clouds have taken, that's what qualifies as a cloud crossover signal. That's your number one signal. So it usually happens when the market changes direction, or in this case, attempted to change direction, and then everything came back into sync. In that way, your cloud crossover signal is very similar to the first micro-macro cross signal on the Hawk, the trend change signal on the Falcon, and your trend change, and in this case, also the first in-sync Eagle signal on the Eagle. All right, so it gets its roots from those signals. The hard edge bounce signal, well, that's pretty much self-explanatory. It's whenever the market encounters either of the hard edges and tries to resume the trend. Once all the signal parameters are in place, you will get a hard edge bounce signal. The one thing to keep in mind, though, when you see a hard edge bounce signal, because it is a trend continuation signal, there should be something resembling a trend beforehand. The number 2 signal, that's the counter trend signal. The counter trend signal will develop obviously at the end of a trend. So here too, you need something resembling a trend. And the counter trend signal must always have a test of the extreme. In this case, the extreme is the high. Once we have the test of the extreme and the failure, that is now our counter trend signal and our permission to short. Unfortunately, I was waiting for it, but it just unfolded so quickly that, you know, by the time it printed, I was already a couple of bars deep, and the target is, or the first target is the hard edge, although you can see we've gotten much further. So now the clouds have crossed over the other way. We're a little bit more bearish on the market. We got to wait for that pullback and the market to show us that it's ready to try to resume the downtrend before we're going to print a number 1 signal. So right now with the Raptor, we're kind of in limbo a little bit. You can see the counter trend signal, the number 2 signal, does print relatively early. Like I think it even printed before the Hawk signal printed. Yes, it did. We didn't have a Hawk signal. The Raptor actually catching that reversal earlier than the other tools. But the Hawk did give us a second chance here on that first micro-macro cross and some decent follow-through on that. So I hope that answers your question, John. If not, please ask again. The clouds themselves need to be in sync for your number 1 signal and your number 3 signal. For the counter trend signal, the number 2 signal, we need the clouds to have some sort of, well, directionality to it, and ideally some sort of breadth. When the clouds are wider, that's usually when we're going to see a retrace to the hard edge. When the clouds get really, really broad, that's when you can kind of trust that number 2 signal a little bit better. Even though these two did have some follow through to it, they would have been a little bit trickier to take. Because again, while we're having tests of the extreme, there's no, well, there isn't much of a trend preceding this counter trend signal. See here we've got a broader band and we produce a counter trend trade and a good opportunity for a short. And here, of course, was a very nice buying opportunity and a nice rally higher. And now that they've done that, it looks like they're just going to take their time and bounce around a little bit more. Yes, I would agree with that statement. John says, I'm finding that the cloud crosses are very significant. Yes, they are. The clouds are showing us momentum, right? They're showing us faster momentum and slower momentum. And when everything kind of gets in sync, then we can at least expect an attempt to rally. And you can see we tried to push higher here. We tried to push higher here. I suppose that's why the sell-off was a little bit more dramatic, because we had, buyers loading up here, buying a little bit more here, and then when they broke here, well, they had to ditch. They had to exit. And you also got additional selling going on down here. So now the reverse is going to happen. Now we're going to see how strong will the sellers be. Are the sellers just going to push like this, or is everybody going to jump on board and really push the market down? If that's the case, well, then we can probably anticipate a much bigger follow through. And of course, if they don't, well, then we're not going to get the big follow through. And the market will range back higher. I have a feeling this summer is going to be a little bit of a sideways kind of market for us. That was the other reason I went with such a deep stop on this first micro macro cross. I would have liked, maybe even cover to the hard edge. But because the market was trading at the bottom end of the trading range, and there was a very good chance it may try to test the top end of the trading range, I felt compelled to run a wider stop. In hindsight, it wasn't necessary, but of course I didn't know that at the time. Okay, getting a macro pullback signal here, possible 4-arrow consolidation. That's a strong selling signal. Here we've got the makings of a late filter entry in the Falcon. So the filter out of sync, trend line still in sync. If this bar closes on the low, the filter, there we go, it comes back into sync. So this now becomes our signal bar. Or sometimes people will try to enter on a limit order to try to catch that little bit of a bounce back. That tends to happen from time to time. And here on the Raptor, well, we're getting that #1 signal, aren't we? We're getting that cloud crossover signal. Where to cover the trade. So it looks like we're going to try testing the lows of the morning. Clouds have crossed. The market's trying to resume the trend. And we may see a deeper pullback out of this before the sellers take control. Of course, there is room to the downside here to move the market lower. cancel that order. As they drift higher, get closer to the hard edge, we will produce another number one signal. Elmer, I did not. Elmer's asking, Eric, did you watch the bookmap presentation last week? And could you give your view? Sound, it sounded all a bit overcomplicated in order to make use of real time, but did you ever try? I'm not familiar with the bookmap presentation that was given. I know there's a lot of traders that, try to read the tape, as they say. I think it's enough to try to decipher the price charts themselves. Like this counter trend signal, for instance. We saw it coming, right? We knew it was going to happen. Unfortunately, it happened a little bit too quickly. I don't know if, following a bookmap strategy would have got you in any earlier. Problem with some of those complicated strategies is they're not easy to implement. And I'm a big one for simplicity. And believe me, it isn't just for your sakes. I need to keep things simple for myself. But they had some very interesting presenters at the oil trading group at the Trading Expo. If any of you would like to find out more information about that, let me see if I still have the link for that. If not, I know Adam would have it. Yeah, I think you'll have to write Adam for it. And in case you've misplaced Adam's email, I'll put it in the window for you. It's adam@indicatorwarehouse.com. So a little bit of a lack of follow through here. Oh, there you go. Thanks, Elmer. I will post that for everyone. Yeah, that does look a little complicated, doesn't it? Just looking at the screenshot there. Traders always trying to get an edge, but it seems they're always trying to get an edge on the entry. And a good entry is important, don't get me wrong. But a good entry is not everything. A good entry will help, but it won't prevent you from losing money. All right, so here we go. We're back into the hard edge, and it's looking like we might produce another sell signal. We have a warning dot. Where's that number one signal now? Are they going to give us a number one signal or not? Will they continue to bounce off the low of the morning and perhaps try to rally back into the highs? Elmer saying in regards to the book map, he says, my feeling was I'm not bright enough for this. What was it? Einstein said, or some famous person said about making things simpler instead of more complicated. That was the true art of genius, was to make things simpler and not more complicated. You will never have all the pieces to the trading puzzle. You can amass all the pieces you want, all the indicators you want, all the information you want. You will still never have all the pieces to the trading puzzle. I think a big piece that's overlooked, however, is the context. I think it's important to keep a broader view of the market, and if you have trouble doing that from these charts, then make a longer term chart. And by that I mean you can look at, one second here, I'm going to build you one. You can look at a daily chart of the NQ. So if you looked at a daily chart here, what's the immediate trend? Well, the immediate trend is up, isn't it? That doesn't mean there aren't going to be shorting opportunities. You can see the market topped out here pretty seriously, had a pretty big reset after it encountered this whole 58.50 area, and which is where we're trading again, which probably explains why we're having such a hard time with 58.50 today. Or if that doesn't make sense to you, then you could always look at an hourly chart as well. And not necessarily to trade it, but just to say, what's the overall perspective here? What's the overall direction? Well, the overall direction seems to be up, doesn't it? So if you, by keeping the broader view in mind, a lot of times you're going to keep yourself on the right side of the market. All right, looks like we are not going to get a sell signal. It looks like they're going to hold the lows of the morning, at least for now. So I think what we're going to do is we're just going to button up shop here for the morning. It's the top of the hour. We had a couple good trades. I really don't feel like messing things up, especially given that the market's kind of sluggish this morning. And we'll get together again tomorrow, and we will do it all over again. So I'll see you Tuesday morning. Have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.